Good evening, everybody. And I tell you what, guys, if you're tired of listening to me, well, guess what? Just tough luck. Because you get me for another hour, but it's even better. It's so much better. It's like you go to the cabinet, right, and you grab the peanut butter jar, okay? And then you go to the fridge and you got to find the best jelly in the world to go with it. You know, that's what we got here, okay? It's Arnie and Chappie hour. And Chappie, great show at 7 o'clock, my brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It was awesome doing it. It's always cool having a chat room going like I had. So thanks to all the guys that came out and supported me. It was really fun to do.
And I hope, knock on wood, that we have a good turnout in the chat room tonight because it'll make this show go a lot easier and quicker and smoother. And let me just see, are you in there, Chappie? Do you see if anyone's with us yet? Do you know?
I see 10, but I don't see any movement.
Okay. Well, if you're in the chat room, let us know you're here, okay? And we'll give you a shout out. I'll tell you what I want to do, Chappie, if we can. I don't know if you've been listening to me on my morning show, but I have all of a sudden fallen in love with the National League Central Division, okay? Now, maybe you're a part of that because I know that you bleed Chicago blue, But could we spend a little time tonight, maybe the whole hour, I don't know, talking about the Central, some fantasy buy highs, buy lows, go get 'ems, let them go, let them wander in the pasture a little bit. And can we start maybe at the bottom of the division and work up? Is that okay with you?
First off, I listen to you in the morning, Arnie. Second off, yes, I would love to talk to the National League Central with you because I have a lot of opinions about it.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it. How about we start at the bottom and work up? Because I know that saves the best for last. You'll love that because you know who's on top, the Cubs.
Yes, sir.
How about those Redlegs? A player that I'm really interested in getting rid of. You got to talk me out of it. I'm on the cliff, okay?
Yep.
Jesse Winker.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been a Winker of truther this whole time, but it really is getting a little frustrating. 237 just doesn't cut the mustard for a guy who, is supposed to be a contact hitter. And, how much do you, the thing about all of these Cincinnati hitters, okay, they kind of taken the lead dog's approach in Joey Votto, and you know how Votto is, and he's starting to come around now, but I just wonder if Winker just doesn't go crazy in one of these months and back close to 400 and bump that up. So that'd be the only hedge. I mean, certainly what he's given you thus far is concerning, but, the talent is there. The Reds believe in him. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's getting really hard to keep a hold of them, especially when there's all kinds of talent out there that can fill out the stat sheets better.
And do you wonder, Chappie, the start of the year, Cincinnati manager comes out and he basically says, Jesse Winker, he's going to get 500 ABs this season. And that was before anybody had played a game. That was before anybody had thrown their first pitch. And do you feel like it's almost, they call it crow where I live. You don't want to eat a lot of crow because it doesn't taste too good, But are you in that situation if you're the Cincinnati Red manager? Have they made a commitment to this kid that now maybe they wish they hadn't?
No, I don't think it's that, Aaron. What I really believe it is that they're just this kid's gonna. I mean, he's gonna take some time. I mean, you see it with a lot of these guys, right? He's just one of those guys that kind of is starting slow, whether it's this year or every year. But I think that you're gonna, by the end of the year, I really do believe that you're gonna be up close to 280, 290. So you're talking about a 40, 50 point swing. And do you want to get rid of that and miss that? I know I wouldn't.
If he does that, then he's going to hit 330, 340 for a good little stretch, and that's a player you want on your squad, no doubt about it.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I keep saying it. I've said it before. You want to have the Reds at home into summer because the ball flies out of that ballpark. I mean, that's another thing we're not talking about. We haven't had real hot weather here in the Midwest yet, so the balls haven't had that that loft and that carry. So these things are going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
So you're telling me get off the cliff, get back in the ballpark, and let Jesse Winker do his thing. That's what you're telling me, right?
I'm telling hedge your bets on him. Yeah, I mean, I'd be in the same boat with you. I am in the same boat with you. But fact of the matter is, he's just one of those guys. If you can bench him, you bench him. But I don't think you cut him outright.
Can I play a game with you?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever remember the game show? This is way before your time, and really before mine too. The game show called What's My Line, where they would have a person come on, and the guest panel would have blindfolds on. Do you remember anything about that show?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to introduce you to it. We're going to play What's My Line, and I've got a player, and I'm going to give you some facts about him, and then you're going to tell me who the player is for the Reds.
Okay, shoot.
One clue at a time.
Okay.
I went 0 for 3 last night I went 0 for 3 tonight at Cleveland against the Indians. If you need another clue, just say, give me another clue.
Give me another clue.
Okay. Over my last 6 games, I'm 1 for 18, batting .056 with only 2 runs scored and no home runs.
I'll guess Jose Peraza.
Of course, you get 3 guesses. That's one. Would you like another clue? Obviously, you need another clue.
Yes.
Okay. I can play in all fantasy leagues, both infield and outfield positions. You get 5 clues, Chappie. You've only had 3. Do you need another one?
Yeah, give me another one.
Okay, the last one's going to make it easy. This is my first year playing for the Reds, and I'm hitting .248.
Oh.
And your final clue, Chappie, I lead the team in home runs with 17.
Dietrich. I was going to go Dietrich or Puig.
Dietrich.
Yeah,
And you win the prize. You got it within 5 clues.
Yeah, you kind of laid it out there on the last one a little bit. You're right. He's been something else, man. I mean, it's funny. I was listening. These shows all start to sound the same. Someone was talking about, the effects of leaving Florida and what that does on players, and I think he's another candidate of that. I think that Dietrich is he's outplayed Peraza. He's outplayed. He's not as good defensively, but he's outplayed Iglesias, so he's in line for everyday playing time. The thing about him is what happens when Jeanette comes back, right?
And that's the thing. And Jeanette's coming back, it sounds like sooner than later, doesn't it? I mean, I guess you're reading the same stuff I'm reading, and
right.
It's not going to surprise me if Scooter's back before the All-Star break.
They're the same player.
I like Jeanette better.
I mean, you have room for both of them, but, back to your squeeze on Winker, right? Because you're going to play Senzel in center.
Yep, that's a given. He's playing every day.
You'd think that Puig's going to play a lot.
If they don't trade him.
Right. So, I just wonder about I still have a hard time believing that they're going to do everything they can to nurture Winker because they see him as a big part of their future.
The Reds have a real dilemma, though, don't they?
Well, yeah, but that's what happens when you go out and you spend money. You throw money at a problem rather than thinking about it from a business perspective, and that's what they did. So they're left with this, this siloed team where you don't have enough at bats for all the players.
Jack Youngblood. Let me tell you about Jack. He's in our chat room. I met Jack last Friday night at a minor league game in Kinston, North Carolina. Jack and his son are from Annapolis, Maryland. He's listening to the podcast right now. They just spent the day at Disney down in Tampa. They're going to see the A's play the Rays tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Great seats.
Obviously.
And we talked baseball for like 3 hours at this minor league game. The only problem is his son is an Orioles fan.
No.
And I was trying to be nice and trying to think of positive things to say. And so 5 minutes into the conversation, excuse me, Jack, we had to talk about something else other than the Orioles, No, I'm kidding. But great. And this is the thing about this podcast and about baseball. It's amazing the people you meet, great people you meet, just like me meeting you, Chappie. I mean, but for baseball, but for this podcast, we don't ever become friends. So anyway, I see he's in the chat room, and it's just great to see him, and Cha-Cha, and it's great to see you too. Cha-Cha's been with me on all 3 shows today. How about that?
The man. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, Cha-Cha. Good.
It's funny, it kind of happened with us that way too, right? I remember one night doing my show at 7, and Andrea basically Skyped me and said, "Hey, you're being summoned," and next thing you know, we're on the show together. And I think we've gone ever since. So It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, and Easy Kill, he's in. I guess Easy Kill. I guess you got your round table at 10. Just let me know if that's still the case. How about that? But let me get back to the Reds as I digress talking about friends in baseball, because that's much more important than what we're talking about. But at any rate, the Reds. Do you think? Okay. Is there a team out there, a contender? And I know the answer is yes. And I'm thinking about the Red Sox last year when they go out and get Steve Pearce late in the season. Remember? And Pearce was just a piece to a mini puzzle, And but what does he do? He gets hot, and he's the World Series most valuable player. Could Derek Dietrich be a piece like that for the Reds? Maybe they could land a Double-A pitcher, get a trade. Scooter plays all the time, and the Reds are none the worse for the wear.
I mean, that's why you get guys like that, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. So you get a guy like that, hoping he hits his stride, hoping that he gives you trade value, or he leverages his, sudden boost in ability into a playoff run of your own team, which is the ideal thing. But I think that Derek Dietrich absolutely could be of benefit to a contending team. Now, where that is, I haven't really thought much about. But
I think it's Boston. I think he's a great fit for the Red Sox. And
second base
or first, because Chavez. I mean, you talk about walking off the cliff and falling straight down into the tank. That's where Chavez is. And a Dietrich could move in, play second, play first. He can hit a ton. And doesn't he look like a Red Sox? I mean, come on.
You said that about Rendon now.
But he does.
Can we answer Jack's question?
Sure.
About Senzel?
Senzel? I love Senzel.
Yeah. I mean, you know my take on it, but I'll say it for Jack. I said all along, I've had him in Dynasty for about 4 years. I finally traded him last year because I got sick of him getting injured. But boy, he looks the part. He looks everything as advertised. I just worry about him staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, I think he could be a top 3 Rookie of the Year candidate this year. I mean, I don't see why not. So he gets you 20 homers and 20 stolen bases. Hell, there's not many players that can do that.
No, he reminds me of a right-handed version of the left-handed David Dahl. I mean, in terms of he's easily to get hurt, but when he's playing, he's a hitting machine.
Yeah.
And you got to love the ballpark. You got to love the ballpark he's playing in. And you just said it.
Have you been to Small Park?
What, Cincinnati?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah, you got to go, man. It's really, I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I've gone there, and, obviously I grew up at PNC. Well, Three Rivers at PNC. Those 2 parks are just beautiful. I highly suggest both of those parks. And the ball just flies in the summer. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, I've given you 2 Reds players, Chappie. Did you have one on your mind or 2 that you want to talk about? Because mine were Winker and Dietrich, and you've convinced me right now not to get rid of either one of them.
I mean, it's funny. You start doing this, and you think a guy I'm really interested in, and Lenny talked about him this morning, I think. I'm interested to see at the trade deadline what happens in the back end of that bullpen, because I think there's a guy hidden back there that should Raisel Iglesias get traded. I think there's a premier closer right behind him in Amir Garrett. So he's probably widely available in a lot of leagues. If you're in a league that saves and holds, he's probably not available. But he is certainly somebody who I think could really turn the tables should the chips fall on a certain play, which I don't see why they wouldn't.
Well, now, Lenny said, if I heard him right, he was talking about Garrett this morning in terms of 2020, but a trade would open a door that isn't there right now. And
absolutely. If you're going to be in last place, why not trade a closer?
Exactly.